Is it working? What's this? What's this? Okay. Oh, that's the other thing I was gonna do is I've been playing around with OBS and damn, I should have done this before going live, but oh dear. Hello. Okay, tell me if it sounds terrible, because I only sort of know what I'm doing, maybe. Oh dear. Well, I hope that's the right device to send things through. Oh, and I've got to also. Oh, look, I can change things from here. Hmm. Okay. Hey, you can see me, but this thing, I tried to set up live chat a thing into OBS and I guess that's not working. Okay, sounds fine. Okay, good. Let me just try and fix this thing. This, oh, no, I lost it. Oh no, how do I, um, I don't know what I've done. I've screwed things up somehow. Hey, okay, now I can see, and now I can do this. Hey! So yeah, the lag is pretty terrible because I'm using OBS, and I think there's a way to change the lag, but that's a little bit more than I can concentrate on at the moment. So yeah, when you send me a message, I think if I look at the YouTube one, I'll be able to see things faster, but by the time my speaking gets out to you, I don't know how it works. Anyway, so that's the thing I've been mucking around with, and I guess I'll get rid of it if it's distracting. Um, yeah, so I just sort of figured this was easier than making a video. You can see yourself. Uh, yeah, well, so I mean, you already know the story. Actually, that's one thing that I can't do on OBS is see how many people are actually here and whether I'm just talking to you or to someone else. Do you want to keep seeing yourself? You can put it back there. And I guess you can see how bad it is that way. Um, yeah, but anyway, so you know the story about my crazy day because I've posted it on Facebook, just friends only. Oh, yeah, no, I've brought it back. Wow, that is a lot of lag if you're only just seeing me close the window now. Oh my God, that's terrible. Yeah, I guess maybe I need to look into, oops, I need to look into how things are matching up. Stream settings maybe, or nope. Uh, I remember looking up how to do it and I don't know. Okay, well, yeah, no, I thought I'd just make a video about my day for all the people who don't have access to my Facebook thing because I don't really add extra people. So people going like, "Hey, how can I get on your Facebook friends list?" I don't really add randoms these days. And if I do, I usually put them on restricted mode so they can only see public stuff anyway. But yeah, so today did not go how I was expecting, and this is, I guess, like an update from the video I made yesterday, where I mentioned like things being dizzy, right? And so yeah, I woke up feeling dizzy again, although the room wasn't spinning and I haven't had as many balance issues, but I don't know how to describe it, but it just the sense of dizziness and feeling really awful, and I had a headache that's sort of got worse through the morning, and I was feeling queasy. And I also woke up at 4:30 in the morning thinking that the next video I was going to make would be about Moon Knight, but then I didn't get back to sleep and I was just feeling worse and worse. So here I am live streaming instead, about today. So yeah, because I woke up feeling so awful, I didn't go to work, sent a message to my boss like, and then but because I was already up thinking I was going to go to bonsai, I just stayed up for the extra half hour, until the doctor's office, the practice that I go to, until they open so I could call up, because as I mentioned yesterday, my usual doctor is not in. She's away at the moment, and who else do I see? And I specifically asked them for someone who knows about mental health stuff, because I wasn't sure if like if the dizziness was a physical thing, which seemed the most likely, or whether it was just from me like losing my shit and a psychological kind of thing, because I can't tell anymore, It just oh dear. Oh well. Yeah, so I thought I'll try and get someone who knows something about mental health, and it's really hard to concentrate on what I want to say. But also because, like, my mental health's been a bit off lately, I thought, that's probably a good thing, just to have someone to maybe talk to a bit about stuff. And wow, brain, wow, super distracted today, I guess, because I'm still a bit out of it. So this could be terrible, especially like, how many grapes in a bunch. I think we answered that question though, sort of. Um, Mental health. Oh yeah, but also like, I guess having like a backup GP would probably be good for when one's away and I'm losing my mind and maybe need to talk to someone, especially because I don't have a therapist at the moment. I feel like I need to get someone, or I don't know, I'm just tired of having to do everything for myself and figure things out for myself, and like, why does it have to be this way? Surely I can find someone to at least pester, I guess. Maybe they can't help me, but maybe I can just be like, hey, I'm having an issue and I need someone to annoy about it. Um, I mean, I guess I can do that on YouTube, but it's different, right? Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be looking a little bit over at my Facebook post just to try and keep me on track, because clearly I am not focused. Fog of the brain. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, I where do I start with? I guess I just sort of follow basically the Facebook, because like what, it's almost 11 o'clock at night, but I had a nap in the middle of the day, so that's why my sleep pattern is now even more out than it usually is. And I guess I should just try and go through things faster so I don't stay up too late. Anyway, I was just thinking of other things I wanted to talk about, but no, what happened today? So, yeah, the dizziness, headache, and sort of queasy feelings I was getting. The doctor I saw, he's like, he checked a bunch of stuff. He did the thing, like, looking in the ears, looking in the throat. He said my throat was a bit dry. A person to annoy with mental health issues, a psychologist. I mean, I have a friend studying psychology, so, but I already annoy her plenty. Um, yeah, so apparently my throat was a little bit dry, and he's like, maybe go take some Hydralyte, and I'm like, is it that bad? Um, and then yeah, looking in my ears, because my ears felt a bit off today, and I think the left one was a bit worse than the right one. And when he looked in it, he's like, yeah, a little bit blocked, and he got me to do the thing where you block your nose and then sort of blow and try and pop your ears, and they didn't really pop, but I don't know if that's because I was just not doing it right, or being timid, or actually having something blocked in there. And then they did this thing where it's like follow my finger, and I'm like with the eyes, and doing the like one foot in front of the other police walk thing. You know, like when they pull you over and you've got to walk in a straight line, that sort of thing. Yeah, and in the end, he's just like, it's probably just the hay fever going a bit nuts. And I'm like, wow, what a dumb problem to knock me out for the day. Hay fever, like, I couldn't even have the decency to be COVID or something. No, just hay fever going over the top. And so, yeah, it gave me Dymista, which is one of those nasal sprays, and it's got a an antihistamine and a corticosteroid. Now, those of you who've been following me for the last couple years maybe will remember when COVID hit, I tried to like get on top of my hay fever because in the middle of a pandemic, the last thing you want to be doing is sniffling everywhere and people looking at you like, are you diseased? Are you infected? And then we found out that I react badly to Claritine. Like it made me feel super depressed, and maybe he thought I was drunk. Oh dear. Um, yeah. Oh my god. Maybe live streaming wasn't the best idea because my train of thought is so all over the place, especially like when you distract me. But that's half the fun, isn't it, right? Um, wow. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, no. So the hay fever antihistamines messed me up, and Claritine made me super depressed. And then when I stopped taking Claritine, I went back to just my normal level of everything sucks. Um, and yeah, we sort of figured out that, oh, okay, I react badly to antihistamines as well. Because we already knew at that point that I do badly with antidepressants. Basically anything that messes with my head. Um, so yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive about trying an antihistamine again, and like, I told him. Actually, when I walked in, I was like, oh, where's my other phone? Um, Clarity, yeah. Uh, I think that was you reminding me where I was in my ramble, except because of the lag, it's taking a while. I will not say this for another 2 minutes. Maybe I shouldn't even try to tell a story in this live stream because it's just like, oh yeah, no, the chat seems to lag. Yeah. So the chat pops up in YouTube first, then it takes a little while to hit my OBS, and then it takes a little bit for the stream to get back to you guys. So yeah, this is hilariously bad. Anyway, yeah, no, I walked in with my phone. He's like, so what can I do for you? Oh, he's also the guy that my dad sees, and so he's like, I know your dad, and blah blah blah. And I gave him my phone, and I had a list of like my current symptoms, some ongoing stuff that I've noticed but aren't really urgent, and also mental health stuff, and then like a brief mental health history. I mean, brief for me. It was dot points, okay? It wasn't my usual like rant, and I'm just trying to catch the guy up because, to try and get someone on top of my mental health history. Uh, uh, yeah. Is it just you guys? I have to actually go back to the YouTube thing to see if anyone's. No, it's just YouTube, so it's like the club. Uh, what was I talking about? Yeah, no, I gave him the mental health history, blah blah blah. Maybe I typed this 2 minutes ago. Oh shit. It's kind of fun, hey. Um, why was I talking? Oh yeah, in that mental health history, I also included the antihistamine thing, and so when he suggested it, I'm like, but my history, and he's like, no, this one, it shouldn't be too bad. Apparently, he said like when you first start using it, it can kind of sting the back of your throat or something. I haven't got that so far, but to be fair, I don't like spraying stuff up my nose, so I may not be pushing the pump down as far as it is supposed to go. Going to sleep soon anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a bit late, but this is how today's worked out. Anyway, yeah, no, the spray up the nose thing. maybe I'm not doing it enough. But so far, I haven't noticed any side effects, really. But, presumably it's helping with the hay fever symptoms. But if I'm getting side effects that are making me sleepy or dizzy anyway, I won't know if it's working. But I figured I'd try it because despite my like bad reactions, I think even the nasal spray, I think Nasonex is just like steroids. Even that one made me feel kind of depressed. So this kind of has like two things that I've reacted badly to in the past, although maybe not the exact same type, but I don't know. I just figured like I'm so messed up anyway, I might as well give this a go as sort of a like, it's gotten that bad, not as something that I would be using regularly. So yeah, Dymista for the hay fever. We assume that's what it is, and he was saying I should be feeling better in 2 to 3 days. Spray it up the nose in the morning and in the evening. I've already done it for tonight. So I'm waiting to see if I get heaps drowsy. So if I just sort of like lose consciousness or something, well, um, yeah. But we're also checking for. At least if you do react, you'll know what it is. Yeah. But yeah, so I also had a blood test. I've already taken off the. Oh my god, why am I wearing so many sleeves? I've already taken off the band-aid because it was kind of pinching my skin a little bit. But yeah, I had a blood test to check iron and thyroid because I haven't had the thyroid thing in a couple of years, and something else that I think the code on the pathology thing started with an F, but I'm not sure. And I didn't take a photo of it for my curiosity later, so I don't know what the other thing is. And so that's to rule out like iron-related issues, thyroid-related issues. So I'll get the results back in a couple of days. But also I did an ECG. And what happened with that was, because like I was dizzy, right? And I guess he's checking all the different things. So he did my blood pressure. Now, the dizziness that I've had is definitely more of a balance-related dizziness. And, very much in the ears, I think. And the ears, certain, what? What does that refer to? The lag makes it really hard to know. Huh? I don't know what we're talking about now, and it's going to be 2 minutes until you see me going, what? Anyway, I'm so out of it. Yeah, no. The dizziness issues I've been having are if I close my eyes, I won't see the chat, and I can maybe focus more. Dizziness is more balance related. I think to do with my ears because your ears do connect to your nose, and that's the whole point of doing this. And I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so that's what doing this is about, to sort of, I don't know, clear the path between your nose and your ears, maybe, I don't know. So that's the kind of dizziness I've been having yesterday and today. But, ferritin is your blood test for iron. No, there was something that started with F and was like 3 letters. I think it started with F. My memory's probably not the most reliable today. Hilarious disaster. And then there was a separate one that said iron. I guess there could be 2 iron tests. Maybe, I don't know how these things work. And then, yeah, the thyroid one. So usually when I get dizzy, it's because of blood pressure. Because I tend to have low blood pressure, and so I tend to have that thing, especially when you stand up too fast and you just feel lightheaded. But this is a different sort of dizziness, and that's probably why it made me a bit concerned, because I'm like, this is not how I usually get dizzy. It's just, isn't it sad that that's how I have to measure something? Anyway, oh man. But yeah, so he put me on the blood pressure machine, and my blood pressure was actually reasonably good, considering, like, it, I think, from memory. I wasn't paying that much attention because what we were looking at is it also checked my heart rate, and while I was sitting there on the blood pressure machine, it was 116 beats per minute, and that's after I had been sitting down for a while. and that's high for a like sitting around heart rate. And sort of like, is this an anxiety thing? Like, this is something that I've noticed happens to me every now and then, like, for no clear reason. My heart rate would just get fast. Sometimes it seems like it gets fast, and then I'll check it, and actually, it's not going as fast as I think it is. But sometimes I'll check it, and it actually is going fast. And that's why I've got my old S7 Edge phone out, because I've been using the little heart rate sensor on it to just check occasionally. And yeah, this afternoon I was just watching YouTube. I wasn't watching any stressful YouTube. I think I was just watching like these videos about American military boats or something. I don't know why I'm watching that stuff. Um, YouTube is super weird like that. Anyway, so I was watching that stuff, which is not stressful. It's nothing to do with this kinds of mental health stuff that sets me off. It's nothing I'm going to get angry about. It's just this random content to watch. And so I was just sort of chilling, watching that, and then I had my spider solitaire, and yeah, my heart rate just started to get high, and so I checked it, and it was over 100 again. What is going on? I'm seeing it on the OBS before I see it in my big OBS thing. There's so much lag everywhere. FBC, which is full blood count. I know it wasn't full blood count. It might have had an S in it, but I'm not sure. I'm just like, next time I have a blood test, I'll take a photo so that we don't. A biomed quiz, yeah. Um, anyway, yeah, so just like watching YouTube, my heart rate just randomly went above 100, and it stayed there for a while. And I kind of think like maybe my breathing was a bit weird. Like I almost like I wasn't quite getting enough air, maybe something strange like that. And then I started thinking, am I getting chest pains? I'm not really sure. I don't know if I'm imagining stuff because it's not like bad or anything, but maybe I did get chest pains, which I realize is a concerning symptom if it's a thing, or if it, but it could just be me going like, what's the worst that this could mean? If that's the problem, being nuts, I have no idea. I wonder if OBS has a default stream delay. No, it worked that time. They both went up at the same time, so I don't know. I don't know. I haven't logged into my YouTube account with OBS though. I've just like manually added the chat. Maybe I should just log in with OBS and get over it. I also like, I tried to add, oh, oh, ew, maybe if I go here. I don't know if this will work because I tried to add like a robot. No, he's not going to turn up. Because I've been trying to get stream elements, and I'm pretty sure I got them to like, how do I do the thing? And there's supposed to be like a little robot who turns up, but maybe I haven't made him work properly. Uh, yeah, stream elements, because like Streamlabs looked a bit. Oh, no, maybe that's not how it is. Maybe I need to write. Oh, what am I doing? Help, what am I doing? I'm messing everything up. Maybe I need to go like. No, still nothing. No robot. Okay, never mind. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to do more like fancy live streaming. So one day we'll see if it works. But clearly it's not working right now. Um, why did that thing change? Whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah. Oh, can I change that here? And will it change in OBS? No. Okay, never mind. So we are stuck with top chat. I just realized in OBS, like it's showing top chat, and so I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. But on the other hand, my channel never goes that crazy, so it probably doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I was trying to set up this bot, but I don't know. So I've still got a few things to learn with that. And then like, apparently I can get them to make t-shirts for me or something, and I'm like, ooh, we could have a lot of fun with that. Anyway, what was I talking about? Um, Blood tests and yeah, no, sitting around you watching YouTube, my heart rate going over 100, feeling like my breathing was a bit off. Also, when I was having the nap earlier today, I had this weird feeling, but I don't know if I imagined it, where I don't know how to describe it. I was just sort of lying there, and every now and then I'd be like, ugh, or something, or I don't know. My brain is obviously not a reliable witness at this point. Um, okay, so yeah, my heart rate goes up every now and then, and I don't know why, and I've paid attention to it today, and I don't think t-shirts yet. How many grapes in a bunch? Oh dear. We could like really get carried away with that shit. Um yeah, no, so I've been paying attention this afternoon to when my heart rate goes up for no reason. And it wasn't to do with anxiety, so I don't think that's what it is. But yeah, so he saw that in the consult room, and it is a bit weird to just be sitting around and having a heart rate like that. And I think he even checked it twice. Um, so yeah, that's why he sent me off to get the ECG, just to make sure. Like, I think the ECG can measure the actual rhythm instead of just the rate. Um, so I think that's just to check that there's no weird rhythms. A black share with your channel icon. The difficulty, so are you talking about the red face with the lots of little white faces? Um, because I think I've tried to put that on a shirt before and it got rejected by some other company. I think because of the way the graphics are. And so the red part of that has a fade out into black. And apparently, like, printing those things onto something like a t-shirt, it doesn't come out good. So I've got to like edit that or get rid of the red part of the face and just have the white part of the face. Um, I'd probably get one too. But yeah, way back, I actually got my little. Oh, it's actually, yeah. So you can see, in the OBS, me, that little face. Yeah. Um, I got that printed out on a big canvas. Yeah. Okay. Cool. It is that one. You will have seen it in my hair shaving video, like in the background, and I vaguely remember that was when I was working at Kodak. Oh my God. I vaguely remember the guy who printed it saying, he had a few issues trying to get it to print properly. Um, so I suspect on a shirt. And I've also seen like one guy, he tried to do like a glowing effect around his logo, and then he showed like how it actually came out and it didn't look great. So yeah, I need to either simplify the red part of the face to not have that fade, which might look a bit weird, I don't know. I need to play around in Photoshop. I think the white part of the face with all the little faces, I think that'll be okay. And so maybe I could enlarge it and like get a section onto a shirt, or I think Stream Elements might also be the one that lets you print blankets. And I'm just like, there's so much I can get carried away with. And then I end up with too much of my own merch instead of just all the punk rave stuff in my wardrobe. Oh my God. But so that's the thing that I'm looking into, is how can I do streams better? I guess getting the chat on screen is the first step, and I'll figure stuff out later. I don't know if like maybe I need a plug-in to get the bot to work, or I'm pretty sure I gave it like the right permissions, but I don't know. Um, yeah, well, the white part, it's because wow, I just got super confused where I'm looking. The white part, the faces, they have a defined edge, and so when you print that onto a black shirt, it just comes up cleaner. Whereas when you have the fade out, like how does the printing machine create that fade out? You've got to have like lots of little dots, right? And then less and less and less. And I think that's the Destroy American Blankets. Yeah. Comforting you with my crazy. Um, dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. There's two, yeah. I don't know, like, I've got to look through all their products as well and just see, like, what dumb things can we come up with. Amazing. Um, but yeah, so no, it's all the little dots, I think, that are involved in the fade out that just don't always come up well when you print them. Printing is a little bit different to how images appear on screen. And I guess I learned a lot of that when I was working in printing businesses, Kodak and also Officeworks. Um, this is different the way things work, the way light pixels work versus paint, essentially. Um, but yeah, so what was I talking about? Blood pressure. It's taking me forever to get through anything. uh, but yeah, no. ECGs to check my heart rhythm, blankets to be smothered under. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've got to figure out what's the best way, what's going to look good. Maybe get a sample product if the shipping doesn't cost too much. Um, mm, so that's the thing that I've been thinking about for a while. And then like you can get the little things up on the screen when something exciting happens. Uh, but I looked at the templates and I'm like, maybe I want to make my own one. But if I do that, it's going to take me a while to figure out how everything works. So anyway, that's a project for future me. Um, ECG, checking my heart rhythm, making sure there's nothing weird going on in there. And so yeah, I had all the little stickers put all over me, and yeah, they kind of tickled a little bit, I guess, because their hands were cold, and I'm like, "Ooh, it's a bit tickly," and she said, "Yo, we had this 4-year-old boy. We put the things on, and he said it was tickly too, and you're the second person to say it's tickly," and I'm like, "Great, I'm like the 4-year-old boy." um, it, wow, that freaked me out. The loading symbol. Does that mean that I'm not? Is this streaming working right, or I don't know. I don't know. um, yeah, no. So the ECG thing, and then it was over really fast, and then she just had to peel the stuff off, and I guess people might find that uncomfortable, but it was fine. Um, yeah, but also by the time I got there, my heart rate had dropped back to 86. And that's something else I found just sitting here. My heart rate went up, and then it's working. Hello. Yeah, my heart rate went up while I was watching YouTube, and then I measured it again. It was still up, and then a bit later I measured it again, and it was uh, back down around like 75, and nothing much had changed. So that was weird. Aging in reverse. Um, yeah, so not sure what's going on with my heart rate. And if it's not anxiety, that's a little bit concerning because, well, then it must be physical and like, am I dying? It's a good thing I don't have a panic disorder because that'd probably set that off, or I don't know how it works. Um, so, yeah, anxiety, blah, 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 just reading the Facebook again. Um, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, I actually did cover that stuff. Okay, so that was the physical stuff pretty much. So yeah, I'll get the results back from the blood test and also the ECG in a couple days, and then we'll see. Like, maybe the spray fixes my hay fever and I can get back to doing whatever the heck it is that I do without feeling dizzy and gross. Or if something turns up on my blood test or the ECG, I guess maybe I have to go back in and we'll see what happens. But I'm thinking because my life's so boring, it'll just be the hay fever thing, and I just have to get better at managing that. Like, it's weird how much hay fever can affect stuff, and I've noticed sometimes I will feel a bit congested, and then I'll take an my usual antihistamine, the kid's Dimetapp, and actually feel better. Things you ask yourself after 30. Probably a lot of the new people to this channel don't realize I'm over 30 because everyone thinks I'm a small boy. So I've just given that away to, yes, hello guys, I'm over 30. Although, if people watched my schizoid video, like not being diagnosed for 15 years, I mean, it's not like I went to get diagnosed when I was 5. I don't know. I wonder if anyone did the maths on that, like any new people did the maths on that, trying to figure out how old I am, or if they just like, I bet she's 15, so I tried to get diagnosed when I was a baby. Ah, anyway, so where am I up to? Getting the results back. We'll see what happens, and whether or not I need to go back. Otherwise, I'll see my usual GP the following week. Um, but yeah, so okay, the mental health stuff. So yeah, what am I reading? Yeah, no, I've already talked about some of that. Okay, yeah, so I ended up seeing the doctor that my dad sees, and so he's like, I know your dad, and he's a really cheerful guy, a little bit manic, like actually a little bit manic. He was joking with me about being bipolar and stuff, and so he actually did know a lot about mental health, which was a big surprise. Nearly around 20 to 24. Yeah, no, I'm old. That's why I just like tell people I'm a vampire now. Like, as far as any of you know, I'm 400 at this point because I'm just not aging properly. But I guess it goes along with like, not doing life properly. I'm definitely not at that adult stage of managing my life in any convincing way. Oh dear. So yeah, I might as well be, 15. Um, anyway, uh, so yeah, the mental health stuff, because I did specifically ask for someone with mental health, at least an interest in mental health. Extra training's great. I saw his profile on the website, and actually his video introduction is like, I'm really into mental health. I'm not even sure if he mentioned anything else. So yeah, I think perhaps like, himself having a bit of hypomania maybe, that gives him the interest in mental health stuff. And, sometimes you have to be crazy to understand crazy. But, obviously as a doctor, he's doing a lot better than me in life. Uh, but yeah, so he's a really cheerful guy. Um, and yeah, so when I gave him my history, along with the mental health history, and I've listed schizoid personality disorder, and he reads that and he's like, oh, sometimes I wonder if I'm a bit schizoid too. And just the indication that he knows what that is, I'm like, wow, I don't have to explain that. That's great. I didn't expect, anyone to even know what that was. And straight away he's like, oh yeah, that. So that I was like, wow, impressed. And then, oh yeah, so we were talking about stuff and he picked up that I'm like reasonably intelligent. I'm not sure if that's because of like, he knows my dad and whether my dad said something about me or whether it was something I said or the way I talk. Um, Met someone the other day and the feedback I've gotten is they just thought that the way I talked was smart, and I'm like, but I didn't say anything. I was like, please take a look at my wardrobe. Like, not like that. I was even heaps more casual than that, but I'm just like, yeah, and you can have a look at my wardrobe, whatever. That's not I don't know. I've gotten some feedback lately from a real life person who's met me who just straight away thinks say smart things, and like I was just trying to be friendly or trying not to act too weird and embarrass other people. Anyway, um where was I going with that? Yeah, no, okay, so like the whole being intelligent thing is like, oh yes, you're very intelligent. I don't know if he got that idea from my dad, from something I said, or because I wrote notes outlining everything wrong with me. um why was I mentioning that? Oh, and he's like, a lot of the smart friends I know, I don't like, he's sort of setting up the scene and suggested, could be Asperger's. And that's the first time that any doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist has ever like actually suggested it to me. So that makes me think his knowledge of this stuff is a bit more up to date, because in the past, I mean, I think I've only suggested to the two doctors in the past, before I got the schizoid diagnosis. I think I suggested to two different doctors, could I be on the autistic spectrum? And they were like, straight away, they're like, no, no way you're on the spectrum. Which, you know, like that was even after the hype, at least in the Australian media, about autism in females being underdiagnosed. So yeah, it just sort of, I was a bit like, what, you guys aren't even gonna consider that maybe that's what I had. So for me to talk to this guy and he brings it up, that was really interesting for me, and it's not something that's ever happened before. Um, yeah, so that just indicates to me that he knows a bit more mental health than some of the other guys, and yeah, I was impressed with that. Um, but yeah, that suggestion I think was just based on me being intelligent and I guess overthinking, and not. I don't think it was because of any of my behaviors, like because like I'm fine with the eye contact. Um, I don't have sensory issues, and I didn't even mention anything like that. So yeah, I think it's just based on the lots of smart people are autistic kind of stereotype. But still being open to that possibility, I was like, yeah, okay, that's a good sign in a doctor. Um, but on the flip side, being a very positive, energetic kind of guy, I think a lot of the time he was sort of going the "don't worry, you're not crazy" kind of reassurance route, which is not really my problem. I'm not concerned about the idea that I'm crazy. I think probably technically having mental disorders, technically I am crazy, or that's how I see it. If my mental functioning is impairing my life, is that not a definition of crazy? I mean, maybe I could look up what does crazy actually mean, because does it necessarily mean that I'm having psychosis or something, or is it just that, my mind is not functioning in this world? To me, that's just what crazy is. We're all crazy. Either that or everyone's crazy except me. Anyway, no, that was very much his thing, is like, don't worry, you're not crazy. You just need a bit of encouragement. Um, and also, oh yeah, the downside of being smart is like, all the overthinking and so on, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so that's not really what I need. Like, I get it. There's nothing wrong with having the mental conditions that I have. I get that, but that doesn't change how it's impairing my life. Like, okay, great, happy times. What am I going to do about it? That's what I need. I need more of the practical stuff. I don't need this whole everything's fine thing, because it's not fine, Um, Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Okay, well, I keep living and hoping life will get better, and it kind of doesn't. So, therefore, I'm insane. There's my flawless logic for you guys. My flawless late night logic. Anyway, yeah, so very positive, and I think he's the sort of guy who would help, like, more common mental conditions, like people who are depressed or anxious. I think that positivity would encourage, more of your normal kind of mainstream person. But so for someone like me who's like, I don't care, yeah, not really what I needed. And then the other thing is like, I'd start saying something, maybe get 1 point, and then he'd be like, well, da 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 da, positivity and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, but this, and then, oh, more positivity. And so, I'm just like, calm down. That's great. I get that you're trying to, cheer me up and all that kind of stuff, but that's not the issue, right? So yeah, it was a little bit hard to talk about stuff, but he didn't rush me. Like, we went through the physical stuff, which took long enough, and then I was like, I'm also having some psychological issues. Should I make another appointment and come back another day? Um, and he's like, oh no, just tell me now. And I'm like, but, time. And he's like, oh, da 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 da. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's some stuff. But I didn't go into too much detail because it would just take too long, and I'm sort of conscious of other patients in the waiting room. But I was definitely the reason that he was probably running late for the rest of the day. And I had that early appointment, like they fit me in like an hour after I called, so 'Cause, you know, like why sit on my bum? Like I was already awake, and I think I would have just felt a little bit anxious if I didn't go to that early appointment and went for a later one. You know, just get it all over with, and then I can just go and sleep instead of having to sleep, then wake up, then get ready, then go out. You know. Um, but yeah, so like, you know, nice guy. I mean, maybe if I saw him again and could just slow him down from the sort of manic cheerfulness and just be like, hang on, just listen to my list of things first and where it's causing me distress and what my actual problem is, which is not functioning, and just getting stressed in my head and all that kind of stuff. Like maybe if I could slow him down, it would be worth talking to him again. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess it depends on what results my results come back from all my blood test ECG stuff. Because you know, if everything's fine, then I don't really have a reason to go back. I'll just keep my appointment with my usual doctor and be like, okay, so psychological shit. Here's what's bothering me now. Um, which yeah, I think I will try to talk about on this channel at some point. Just because like I was at 4:30 in the morning, I was like, oh shit, you know, like I wouldn't be doing my channel properly if I didn't talk about some of the stuff that's going on in my head. Um, Sort of out of respect for past me, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, you know, I used to talk about a lot of stuff on this channel that I now kind of avoid. And yeah, I'm just like, no, but this is very much on theme, so I should try and talk about stuff more. And like, yeah, I think I'm insecure a little bit because I'm like, this sounds even crazier than my regular level of crazy. Um, so it's kind of weird. Like, I don't care about being crazy, but I also kind of do. Maybe I care more about the consequences of other people. Maybe it's a stigma thing. I don't know. I'll figure that out. It's too late at night for me to really know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, cheerful guy. Um, does know about mental health stuff, but was maybe a little bit too cheerful for my particular problems, at least on a first consult. Um, didn't rush me, which is good. Oh yeah, when I mentioned dissociation as like a problem that I'm struggling with a bit more at the moment, yeah, he actually said that's like the thing he's in, or like one of his interest areas. So, you know, we sort of touched on a bit of that, but he was too busy trying to reassure me that, you know, everything's fine. Um, and I think also like my thoughts being a bit jumbled, I didn't lay it out properly. Like I really should have just written it down. It's easier that way. It's easier to structure stuff than to just go. "Hmm." Um, okay, yeah. And then I think also because I mentioned like maybe my heart rate's up because of anxiety. I think maybe that made him think that anxiety is a bigger problem for me than it actually is. Like, I've never been diagnosed with anxiety. But also, while I was there, like, my hands are usually pretty steady, but while I was in there, I had a bit more of a, like, sort of tremor. And so, you know, he sort of saw that and was like, um, it's a little bit better now, I think. I don't know, like steady hands is why when I went to the shooting range, they're like, do you want to take up shooting as a sport? And I'm like, me having access to guns on a regular basis is probably not a good idea. I was good at it, but I don't think that would be sensible. So, yeah. Anyway, isn't that funny? Like, steady hands can make you good at shooting, or it can make you good at surgery. Speaking of surgery, though, he was talking about how, like, I guess during his studies or something, you know, he spent some time with some ophthalmologists, their eye doctors, and for surgery, they would steady their hands by taking, what is it called? Propranolol, which is a beta blocker. And, yeah, he sort of started spruiking that to me a little bit, like, you know, it's pretty safe and it's good for anxiety and it can sort of steady some of that stuff. And I don't remember if he mentioned whether or not it was good for the heart rate stuff. I don't know, but he was just sort of like, oh, just leave a note for your usual doctor to maybe consider this. Um, and, you know, it's sort of used for performance anxiety as well. Um, but Yeah, and then something he said something about like adrenaline. It can stop the adrenaline getting through the blood-brain barrier too much or something. And that made me think like I didn't mention this, but if you remember in that video I made about um anhedonia and adrenaline, like adrenaline is one of the few things that I feel, and it's one of the only ways that I can feel anything good these days. So, do I really want to take something that's going to numb the adrenaline out? Like, I'm already numb in so many other ways. Um, so, yeah, I didn't mention that, but I was just like, I don't know. And then anxiety isn't what stops me functioning in life. I mean, there's a few things that maybe I'm hesitant to do things, but it's really the depression that stops me from functioning and also just having no interest in stuff and no motivation. Like, it's more of those depressive symptoms rather than anxiety symptoms that impair my life. Um, and then, I don't know what's going on with the heart rate, but, the shaky hands I think was just because I've been sick. So yeah, that was kind of an odd suggestion, and I'm not sure what to think of that. And I've looked it up and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. And I don't want to be taking stuff unless there's a good medical reason, like, oh yeah, it's safe and it does these things. But, if I don't have to take it, I don't want to. Um, yeah, so that was a bit of an odd thing. And perhaps more targeted at the idea that I've got anxiety, which I kind of do, but not in a disordered way, or not enough to be a proper disorder. Blah 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 blah. Oh, but the other thing, so I guess talking about anxiety as well. Yeah, so I can't remember exactly what we were talking about that led up to this, but he said something like, "Oh, it's not like I'm going to make you get up and do a stage performance or something," and I'm like, "Funny you should mention that." I'm actually a musician. I get on stage, um, and there's like, "Oh, what kind of music do you do?" And I'm like, "I do heavy metal, but also industrial and the screaming stuff." And yeah, this guy, he's a total weeb. Like really into the Japanese culture because like earlier in the console he'd asked like, what do you do? And I'm like, I work casually in bonsai because he was gonna write me a medical certificate, and I'm like, it's fine, I'm a casual. Um, but yeah, when I mentioned bonsai, he's like, Japanese stuff. It's funny. It's actually kind of fun to have a slightly manic doctor like that because he's actually like got the energy and he's not trying to hide it either. So that's kind of cool. Like, so if you've got bipolar, you can still do stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, no, he got all excited about the bonsai. I think he'd already mentioned the autism thing, so part like I mentioned like, yeah, I do the bonsai and people get really into it, but I mentioned like I have no desire to join those clubs or get into it at that level. And part of my motivation for saying that was just because like, so this is not an autistic interest for me, it's just a thing that I do, and like I can do it reasonably well, and I have a mild interest in it, I guess, but not in that intense way that people with autism can really get into a particular interest. That's not saying that the people in the bonsai club are autistic or anything, but they're already much more into it than I am. So yeah, but then we had a bit of a joke about people who are into Japanese stuff, like the Japanese culture and all that is pretty intense. So that's another explanation for some of the like there's some people who go off to Japan to like study under the bonsai masters, and they're like, "Ooh, what a big deal!" And I'm just like, I have no desire to do that. No, no, wait, wait. um, yeah, but anyway, so he was right into the bonsai, and then later when we're talking about the stage performance stuff, and I'm like, I'm a musician, I do heavy metal, I do the screaming, and he's like, do you know a Gretsuko? And I'm like, yes. And he was super excited that I knew a Gretsuko. If you don't know a Gretsuko, um, and I'm not doing the Japanese pronunciation because we're, why bother? Um, so she's like a Sanrio character. Hello Kitty creators, but I think she's a raccoon or something, and she's got like an office job by day, and it, very boring, but at nighttime she'll go and do heavy metal karaoke. So that's the basic backstory, I guess, if you don't know it. I've never actually watched an episode of Agretzko. I've just seen I'm aware of it. I've seen the trailers and stuff. But he was super excited that I knew it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm basically that. And he's like, super excited. Not really like that, but that was the sort of energy. I don't want to. I don't want to make it seem like he's crazier than he is. It's just like that's how my brain's interpreting the energy. Um, but yeah, he also said something about like interacting with me, like I'm very friendly or something, which is interesting because like I don't. I think I'm just interacting the way that I think you're supposed to interact. And like when he's joking around, I'm just like, okay, funny thing, gotta laugh, haha. um, I mean, sometimes some things are genuinely funny. Sometimes it's just because I don't know how else to react, so I just sort of laugh along. I'm sure plenty of people do that, but yeah, I guess it it comes across as more friendly or something. I don't know, it's kind of puzzling. Like a lot of people seem to like me and I don't really understand why. Because in a lot of situations I'm not trying to be likable. Uh it just kind of happens. I don't know, it's bizarre. Like there's not really any effort on my part. It's just like I'm trying to interact like a normal person. Um Maybe because I'm not interested in certain aspects of socializing, maybe I don't come across as, some of those annoying people out there or people with an agenda. I don't know. I mean, I don't really socialize that much anyway, so maybe that's something. Uh, Especially now that I'm not in retail, like I just hardly interact with anyone. Anyway, what else is there on my Facebook? I'm actually elaborating more than what I wrote on Facebook because, of course, I get on a like ramble and there you go. Oh yeah, so then after the consult, went to pathology, got me blood taken, and yeah, had to wait to get on the ECG thing, which I don't think I've ever done before. I don't can't remember any reason I would have done it before. I think they like you because you let them be themselves without placing expectations on them. Funny you should mention that because when I first was like, I think maybe the first time my ex came over to my house, I think we were watching like 24 because, I was like, how have you not seen this show? That was like one of my favorite shows at the time. Um, and I have this vague memory of like this is before we started dating, and he was just talking. I think maybe we were at the same music school, so maybe we were actually doing some music. It was a long time ago. It was more than 10 years ago. I'm so old. Anyway, yeah, so I remember him sitting in my room and he was talking about something. I think he was talking about his life and like, issues with his family or something. I had actually tuned out. I never actually told him that, but yeah, I had tuned out. And then when I tuned back in, he said something like he was kind of surprised about how much he'd rambled, and he's like, "There's no pressure with you," and I'm like, "Why would there be pressure? I don't understand. Like, you know, you're just talking about your life. I mean, of course, I had tuned out, so how can I put pressure if I don't even know what you've been talking about the past however long? Oh my god. I guess that's before my brain like did that sort of splitting thing, because like that's gonna get into some crazy stuff. Do you remember when I had the system of like how I organized my mind? So I guess for the long term viewers, the M3 thing. Do you remember that? Like now remembering that, and I remember when it happened, and I'm like, does my brain actually do that? But anyway, so it was before that. So that was when I was still very much like, I have no interest in you really, except as just like, just talking, you know? Um, so yeah, I was definitely not paying attention to stuff he was actually saying, but I also didn't have any particular agenda to push on him or judge him, or is that what he was worried about? I think he was a really anxious guy, so I don't know. See, this is something interesting from the metal scene in particular because that's the main social scene I was in, I guess, for a while. At some point I realized like people are always talking about drama, like there's so much drama in the scene, and I never really picked up like what drama do you mean because I've just never been connected to it. And I think like people are really shady to each other, and I don't get it. And then that makes me think of like in high school, apparently in year 9 we had a bullying problem. Apparently every year 9 has a bullying problem, at least in Australia maybe, and I was really oblivious to it. And is it just that I don't connect with that stuff, or yeah, I don't know. Um, don't give the game away. Oh my god. But yeah, no, that remembering that recently, and with my current like my brain going like, hang on, that that freaks me out a little bit because I remember the day that it happened as well. Um, yeah, that was bizarre. Uh, so maybe I'll talk about that again. I feel like if I get into it, this stream will go on for like 5 hours and then I just won't function tomorrow. I was actually going to talk about the whole Moon Knight thing tomorrow, but I don't know if I'm going to be functioning. So hang on, is my. No, I think it's okay. Just every now and then I feel like my heart rate's going faster than it should be. I've just been sitting around talking. Yeah, anyway, no, that thing, that placing expectations on them. I guess if I'm not interested in people, how can I expect anything of them? Or maybe my expectations are so low that, like, it's kind of hard for them to be any worse than I don't know. I don't know. Um, anyway, no, it's just interesting you say that because I've been thinking a bit about some of that stuff from way back. And then, yeah, wondering why do people like me? I think also when I'm in an actual social situation, you don't care to apply for higher social positions. Yeah, I guess, yeah, some people are motivated by that, hey. I don't know, people are so weird. I'm weird, but people are weird. You know what I mean? Oh, I forget what I was gonna say. I've genuinely lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Help! What did I say 2 minutes ago? Um, I don't know. I don't know. My brain's been a bit like, what? So, yeah, I've been trying to remember more of like stuff in my life, and it's kind of a weird experience because like I already have that disconnection from like my past. I've had that since I was like maybe 10 years old, just this feeling of like yeah, disconnection from past me. Um and yeah, so I'm trying to like remember stuff and trying to remember stuff about how I think about myself as well. Because I think in the last while I've blocked out a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, it's just, brains are weird, and I'm trying to figure out my own brain, and things get jumbled very easily. Uh, yeah, anyway, so I got me blood taken, got me ECG, forget where I was going with that. It took a while. Also, the pathology lady, when she's trying to distract me from the thing going into my arm, and she asked me, what do you do? This is one of those sort of terrifying social questions if you're not a functional member of society. Like it's probably easier because I do have a job at the moment, but I remember in the past, there was a period of time where I didn't work. What do you do? I guess there was only a small period that I actually wasn't doing anything. Because then after that, I could just be like, I'm an art student. Um, but yeah, no, so when I mentioned bonsai to her and explained what it was, and she's like, oh, that must be very calming. And I'm like, well, now I'm like, I think at the time I was just in that social mode where I'm like, oh yeah, just sort of agreeing with stuff and trying to, I don't know, not make things awkward. But like, yeah, bonsai. I don't really find it calming. The day does pass fast when I'm doing stuff, but calming, no. And my boss certainly isn't calm when there's like, another 15 trees come in and need complicated maintenance. Because, sometimes lately we've been running out of space out the back, and he's probably super stressed today that I didn't come in. Um, yeah, so is bonsai calming? Um, but yeah, no, I think what I was talking about was something to do with the way that I socialize. Yeah, I think I sort of go into more of the, like when I'm in real life with people, especially unfamiliar people or certain contexts, I go into more of this sort of Japanese mode, if that makes sense. Like, I'm completely raised in Australia, but every time I meet my Japanese relatives, I seem to pick up something. Like, there was a period of time they kept saying nani, and I just picked up nani, and it took me a while to stop saying that. Um, like, even in English context, and I think I'd accidentally say it to people who don't speak any Japanese and had no idea what I was going on about. Um, but so I think some of the stuff that I've subconsciously picked up from my Japanese background, in social situations, I notice I do like a little bow sometimes, especially when someone says like something nice about me, and I'm like, oh, thank you, and I do a little bow, and maybe laugh behind my hand a little bit, and I think maybe it affects the tone of my voice. You go into more of that girly, cutesy thing as a sort of, um, I guess, like, when you think about how dogs socialize, and the ones who are lower in the social hierarchy will act like, I'm not a threat kind of thing, to not challenge the leader or the dominant member of the, you know, pack of dogs. That kind of a thing. I think it's similar to that. I sort of go into more of that, not quite submissive, or is it a bit of a submissive kind of mode? I don't know. So the way that I socialize, yeah, it's just sort of, and I think maybe that makes me seem a little bit more cutesy in real life, even when I don't mean to be. It's like, so, I posted my performance at Eternity at the Factory Theatre, and at the back they have a room with some tea. I was super excited about that. I'm like, oh my god, this is like the biggest venue I've performed at, and it's got like proper facilities at the back. Wow. And I ended up talking to, I didn't know at the time, but I was talking to the MC, and also like the star performer who was on at the end. Like, he's wow. Um, yeah, no, I was talking to them in the kitchen and just being like, oh my god, I got my little cup of tea. And, seeing the live stream later, she actually, like, she did the whole introduction, and then we performed. And then as we are walking off, she said something, I had been growling, like, bleh. Um, I don't know if I should be making that kind of noise this late at night. But anyway, yeah, and she said something like, what I love about her is, like, she does the rah rah, but we were just having a nice cup of tea out the back. And I don't know, there's all this stuff that I kind of just do automatically. Like, I'm not trying to be cute, but it just happens somehow. Um, but yeah, how I am in real life is definitely not how I speak online to the webcam, and I guess you guys in the chat at the moment. I don't know, just sort of thinking about stuff like that. Anyway, wow, how did I get on that tangent? Um, so yeah, after pathology, I went to the pharmacy that I usually go to, and it's a little bit of a walk, and I sort of just like, I don't know, I was walking a bit on autopilot and just thinking about stuff, and dropped off some stuff, and then, sort of thinking about my social interactions at the pharmacy as well. And then I was wearing my cat mask. That's my least threatening mask, and it makes me seem like I'm more cheerful than I am. So I try and wear that in places where I don't want to freak people out. If I'm going to a gig, I might wear one of the other masks, but yeah, seeing the doctor or whatever, I just wear the cat mask. So I had it on in the pharmacy, and they're like, I really like your mask, and I get that a lot. I guess because my masks are a bit more interesting than the standard, you know, surgical whatever that everyone else has. Um, but yeah, no, and the way that I accept a compliment and do that sort of, oh, thank you, oh, thank you. Not like that. I can't do it. I can't do it unless I'm actually in the situation. It's weird. Um, yeah, so I dropped off my scripts at the pharmacy and then I went over to the supermarket and I bought myself some crispy M&Ms because like what an ordeal. I got some crispy M&Ms and I also got my usual rice paper rolls. Rice paper roll, one roll, for lunch because I'm like, what an ordeal this morning was, waking up feeling garbage and then straight away going to the doctor and having my blood taken and having an ECG of all things. And at the end of that, I was just like, I deserve something tasty, you know. And so that was my day, and it took me an hour and a half to talk about my day. And then I came home and I tried to write it on Facebook, and then Facebook crashed. And then I realized, yep, I've got to write stuff in a document and then copy it to Facebook because I write too much. And I described it as too much morning for one morning. Yeah, no bonsai. So that's what's going on with me. It was a rough morning, and then I had a long nap. I don't know how long it was, and then yeah, got up, watched some YouTube, looked at my heart rate, and was like, "What? Why is this happening?" And so I think it's possible I have some kind of physical issue there. It doesn't seem like anxiety to me, because it's happening even when I'm not actually feeling anxiety. The only way it could be anxiety is if I'm that cut off from my own emotions that I just don't feel it, but I don't think that's likely because, I feel anxious sometimes, so. And then why would I suddenly get anxious on a subconscious level while I'm watching YouTube? That doesn't make sense. So, perhaps it's a bit concerning, but I think it's possible that I have a physical issue. Or maybe it's just that I'm sick at the moment. Can hay fever make your heart rate go weird? Because I do have like hay fever chronically. I don't know. I've not heard of that. Is there a way for me to look that up? I'll do that later. Just, I can't think of what else it could be. Now, I think I did have COVID a little while back. None of my tests came out positive, but the rest of my family had it. Um, so I think I have had it, and I know long COVID can do some weird stuff to you. But have I been having it since before that? I don't know, that's the problem. If I wasn't paying attention, I might not have noticed. And because I've been depressed so much of my life, like, observing physical symptoms is sometimes really difficult. It's hard to know what's causing something. So, yeah, I don't know. So it would be interesting. Like I have a feeling that nothing is going to show because every time I get a blood test, nothing shows. I think maybe there was one time my vitamin D was low, and there was another time that maybe my iron was borderline. Um, but I've been taking vitamin D tablets. My diet's a lot better than it used to be because I'm not on antidepressants that suppress my appetite. I don't get like data to know. Um, yeah, no, I take vitamin D every night pretty much, like mum reminds me. Because, yeah, there was a point where I just realized I'm not getting enough sun. So, yeah, I need the vitamin D tablets. I also like take Berocca at least once a week. So that covers a bunch of other things that I could possibly be low on. I don't think it has iron. I think it's got magnesium. The main reason I take the Berocca is like I take it a day or two before work because otherwise my feet cramp. Um, hay fever is pretty bizarre. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I seem to get it like all year round, regardless of whether there's pollen or dust or whatever. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. Um, on the upside, if they can find something physical, then we can treat it. It's a little bit easier than trying to treat the psychological stuff. Um, But I just have this feeling that everything's going to look normal and it's just going to be like, why? Why can't something just show up so we can get on top of it? It's frustrating and I don't know what to do about that. So, yeah. Now I've got some physical issues to wonder about on top of the psychological issues. Dear oh dear. Anyway, it's midnight now. Just gonna check. Yeah, okay. So it's midnight here in Sydney. I should probably go to bed because everyone's gonna wake up in 5 or 6 hours. Um, this is a problem with having a nap, but I really needed that nap. Like climate change for messing up the trees. No, 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 no. It's not climate change. It's Sydney. Sydney is always a little bit weird. Like, in Europe, you guys have like proper seasons. In Sydney, we kind of just, I mean, you've got summer, you've got autumn, you've got spring. Do we really have winter? I mean, to me as an Aussie, it's enough winter, but it doesn't snow in Sydney. Like it's been very rare for snow to actually be in Sydney instead of up in the mountains. I'm telling me to sleep. 2 minutes ago, I was talking about that. Oh my gosh. Oh, the lag in this chat. Um, Yeah, no, I've got to figure out how to deal with the lag. I'm sure there was a setting because I was looking up, streaming stuff, but there's so much to figure out that it was just like I'm not even sure how much my brain is going to retain. And obviously I didn't set up the bot properly, so yeah, I'll figure that out. Um, but yeah, no, Sydney, so often we have like things flowering twice when if they were in a European climate, they might only flower once. And then yeah, the seasons in Sydney are just a bit weird like that. Although it's also been extra weird the past couple years with La Nina, which brings all the rain and stuff. So did we even have a summer this year? That's debatable as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. And like I can't I thought maybe La Nina would be easier to deal with than El Nino because that's the one that brings the dry hot weather. But then La Nina, it's not as hot, but it's more humid. And I ended up shaving my hair off. Partly for like, just because it's low maintenance, but I started another tangent. Yeah, talking about the tree. That clip of that you sent me of the tree with all the pollen, that was. I mean, you would want to wear an N95 mask for that, wouldn't you? Speaking of, I need to track down another one. I like the one that I got from Bunnings, like back when the bushfires were on, and I've been wearing it on and off since then, mainly on public transport, but like that's a long time to be wearing a mask, and they don't have them anymore. So I've got to figure out what to get instead. I think you can only get P2 masks now. I think N95s are supposed to be slightly better than P2 by like 1%, so it doesn't really matter. But also the shape of it, like, it actually feels like it fits on my face properly, and I'm just a bit reluctant to try a different mask. Anyway, I should really go to bed, but the question is, do I give this 2 minutes in case someone wants to leave a chat? Oppression hasn't suited. Oh. But yeah, so if I'm going to wrap up the live stream and I know there's a 2 minute lag, and I say, hey, if you've got any last minute questions, put them in now, I've got to wait at least 2 minutes. Is it 2 minutes that the lag is? For that message to get across, and then I've got to leave a little bit of time for someone to actually write something because I know not everyone writes as fast as me, especially on a phone. Writing on phones is annoying. I don't understand why people like phones so much for that. And like, even watching something on a phone, the screen's so tiny. But that's me. I guess I'm like part blind. Just go, you'll just keep waiting. Yeah, see, that's the problem, isn't it? I can also just have a look. Oh, well, there's only two of you anyway, so that's easy. All right. The other thing I'm not sure is how do I stop streaming from OBS? Because it worked a little bit differently than what I was expecting this time to actually start the stream. Do I end it in the YouTube thing? Uh, I think I'll do it from the YouTube. I'll just do both. I keep forgetting that I can insert, I haven't, I want to test that insert ad button one time, but I just go on like this long ramble and never really. Maybe one day when I'm live streaming and I go to the bathroom, that's when I should click the add button and see if it works, because like you're not going to be watching anything else anyway. Anyway, I need to get to bed and hopefully wake up feeling a little bit more healthy tomorrow. So yeah, okay. Uh, Click this thing and okay, bye. Hopefully this works properly and I don't just sit here going for the next